Welcome to Canucks After Dark. Here are your hosts, Parker Hallowell and Clay Emo.
Good evening, Vancouver. Wednesday, August the 18th. Welcome back to Canucks After Dark, your home for once a week late night hockey coverage. My name is Parker. You know me as ParkersPucks. And as always, I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Canuck Clay. How are you doing this weekend, Clay?
This week is good, man. I had to go back to work, but I was okay. I was re-energized after a nice weekend in Victoria. Got to meet a few YouTube people and Twitter people, and more importantly, got a chance to spend some time with my lovely bride, Gail. And yeah, but it's been good. It's been good. As you saw, I was on the golf course and
drained a sweet putt, no looker.
Yeah, exactly.
It almost broke away at the end, but
well, I'll send you the deleted videos.
Right, the six takes before.
But things are good, man. How about you?
Good. Yeah, no, things are great as well. Feeling good. Feeling excited for just looking forward to the season starting. We're mid-August. We're sort of like, it's been 3 weeks since free agency. We're about 3-4 weeks from training camp. So we're getting closer and closer. We're close to football season starting. Just everything is, we're getting to the point where the fires might start to die down. We get some rain coming. We get into the wonderful fall season, which at this point might be becoming my favorite season because you get football, you get hockey, and we're gonna dive into a really exciting year, hopefully for the Vancouver Canucks. And it's just a month or two away.
You're a big NFL guy, right?
Just Seahawks, really. I follow the league kind of closely, but mostly Seattle.
Enough to do like a fantasy or like a fantasy draft.
Yeah, I'm in 2 leagues, so I'll casually pick some players.
It's funny. I of our 10 guys in our league, I easily know the least amount of NFL. I'll just look up the rankings, Yahoo rankings. So last draft, they did it on a night where I was bowling in a league, and I actually ended up winning the whole thing, and I had no clue who I was picking. I was halfway between shots every time. So maybe I just got to distract myself.
That's
not
the key.
Overthinking.
I love it. So we do have a good chunk of stuff to get to tonight. About the same as last week, but we pulled it off really well last week. So I think we are going to we're going to crush it this week. And before we get started, everyone in the live chat, we do see you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out, and we will be getting your feedback throughout the show. We will have our Don't Do That segment somewhere around the middle as well. And yeah, we can just pull up your comments right here on stream as we go through. So we will be doing that as we go. And I see some people already talking about the marquee piece of news for the Vancouver Canucks this week, and that is a contract being signed, and that is Jason Dickinson, who is going to be a very important piece for the Canucks team. Maybe not as important as the guys who aren't signed yet, like Elias, Pettersson, and Quinn Hughes, but a third-line center who is basically replacing Brandon Sutter's previous role, and hopefully doing a much better job of it. Signs the terms, for those of you who are not aware yet, 3-year contract, $2.65 million average per year, so a bit over $7 million over the life of the contract, and there is no trade protection on it. So there's no trade clause. It's so hard to double negative that. But basically, he is eligible to be traded, waived, whatever. The Canucks can do whatever they want with him. They can send him to the AHL if they really want to. But it is a flat 3-year, $2.65 million deal for the Canucks bona fide third line center.
Yeah, hopefully we won't have to exercise that. We won't have to trade him or move him anywhere. This is good, Parker. And you and I will agree. We didn't talk about this before, but we'll try not to use the term tidy piece of business because I think that's a little bit being overplayed.
It was tidy, though.
It was tidy. And it's so tidy. It's so clean. You got to think of what we trade away from. Not a lot, right? A 3rd round pick in this year's draft. And we basically, I don't want to say take advantage, but we leverage our expansion draft position against Dallas's. And yeah, you're right, man. This is good. Under $8 million. And I know you talked about it in your video where we just said, this is fine for this term. Instead of 1 year or 2 years, for 3 years. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
That's really good, actually.
We're talking about a guy who just turned 26. And you look at most sort of age curves and basically, most players are in their prime nowadays and when they're like 24, but they really start to see that drop off when they're, 30, 31, 32, right? You
Yeah.
look at a guy like Louis Eriksson, prime example, goes from scoring 30 goals when he's 29 to one against his own team when he's 30. And now we get, Jason Dickinson, who's 26, and it's a really low risk move, in my opinion, right? You're getting a guy for 3 years, not crazy term, right? It's till he's 29. If things go really, really bad, it's a problem for 3 years. And there's no trade protection of any sort, so they can ship him off if need be. If the Canucks are in a bad spot 2 years from now, and maybe this playoff push hasn't gone as well as they think. And, obviously I'm not hoping for this, but let's say the Canucks are, faltering and not really in a playoff position 2 years from now. Well, he's a good rental piece and they'll recoup that third round pick at least that they got for him for Dallas this year. There's no real downside here for me.
I agree with you. And I think we should talk about both how it affects the Canucks on the ice and then off the ice. On the ice, we know that maybe the hope is that Bo Horvat will not get the tough defensive matchups. We know that Horvat's got some really good hands, got some really good wheels. We saw the way he double deked St. Louis all through the bubble.
Oh,
yeah,
Vince Dunn is just replaying that on loop.
It was pretty sick. And then so let Horvat flourish with a guy like Garland and get his points and not have to worry about being on every single defensive zone faceoff. Let Dickinson do that. Let Dickinson kill penalties. And then I'm sure we're going to be talking about in a few minutes, basically it means the Canucks have two more priorities for the offseason, massive ones, but I know we'll get to that. Yeah, so Dickinson should help make the Canucks stronger all the way through the lineup. And everyone's talking about a good top nine, a large part because of him.
Yeah, it really rounds it out, right? And we talk about Bo Horvat as, he's always been people always have tried to like pigeonhole him into being a good two-way center. And that's not been out of ability, that's been out of necessity for the Vancouver Canucks. It's basically been, well, we've got no one good enough to play both ends of the ice, right? So Bo is the best we've got. And defensively, he's fine, but it's definitely not his strong suit, right? We've seen when he gets these opportunities to, show his offensive skill. He's got hands. He's got foot speed. He can work in the corners if he needs to. He's got a good quick shot when he needs it, right? In the bumper spot, especially, we've seen. So taking away this defensive ice time, right, where the Canucks would put him out for every defensive zone draw because he's the only one that could win faceoffs, and he'd get stuck out there at times. And it's, basically making it so he plays half of his game in the defensive zone. Well, now you can throw him in the offensive zone for 70% of his game. Give him an extra 2 minutes in the offensive zone a night, 3 minutes in the offensive zone a night, and just really unlock his potential and not sacrifice the defensive side because you're adding a guy who it's his bread and butter is to live in the defensive zone and win battles and get the puck out and move up the ice for his team.
Love it. So I love the effect it's going to have on Horvat's game. I love the effect it's going to have on our top nine overall. And I love the effect it's going to have on our penalty kill. As much as make fun of Louis Eriksson, when he was in the lineup, we knew that there was some pairing of Sutter and Mott and Beagle and Eriksson, or Sutter and Eriksson and Beagle and Mott. We just knew that Sutter and Beagle were the two penalty killing centermen, and then you put Mott and Eriksson. Sometimes you bring in Pearson or Miller if you have to, but now you can run out, Dickinson and Sutter as your two centers, and likely Mott and, maybe it's Highmore or whoever's going to fill that 12th forward spot. But at least Dickinson fills a big gap that you lose when you trade away Beagle, Roussel, and Eriksson, who are technically all decent penalty killers.
Yeah, absolutely. It really just sort of, we're setting everything up so much more structurally now, right? It's a lot less of here's 12 guys and we're going to just try to make everything work throughout the night, right? And we would see this, we'd see Travis Green breaking out the blender, breaking out the Vitamix. It's 12 minutes into the game on so many occasions because either the Canucks aren't getting any help for their goaltenders or they aren't getting anything going in the offensive zone. There was always something that was broken. But now it's okay. The Canucks are up a goal and need some really strong defense. Well, let's play our defensive units a little bit more. Canucks really need a goal. Well, we have two lines that have really good firepower and honestly a third line that might have some decent scoring chances as well. So the ability to have what looks like three really solid structured lines can only help, in my opinion.
And I've even heard stuff, Parker, like play Dickinson in the top six as a winger and bring JT Miller down to the third line as a center. I know we've talked about that before. So you're right. It's just the versatility, the flexibility. And Travis Green, as you said, is not afraid to experiment, to try new things. But the other thing, Parker, and I know we talked about this, Travis Green, he seems like when he puts together a line or a pair at the first day of training camp, he kind of like, he obviously thinks about this with his coaches. He sometimes sticks with those pairings and those lines, at least to start off, because he wants obviously the maximum amount of time to build chemistry. So we'll see. I'll be interested to see who lines up with who in September, whatever it is, 23rd, 24, whenever that training camp opens.
Yeah, and chemistry is definitely going to be interesting because we can look at it and we can piece our thoughts on what the lines are going to be, and we've sort of done this, right? You're going to have the Lotto line up top, then you're going to have Horvat and Höglander and Miller, and then you know that's your top six. But yeah, you can make some moves, right? If you need to move, you know, if Podkolzin, let's say, excels compared to what we expect, you can bump him up to that second line and yeah, move a Miller down and then really have three highly dynamic lines. Or, you know, maybe Horvat is working better with Pearson like he has in the past, and you need to move, you know, Höglander down. And now again, you have these exciting lines. You have three lines that have high potential. You don't have Brandon Sutter on your third line. You have him locked to that fourth line unless there's an injury. And I think, again, I'm just excited. I'm excited to see what these guys can do.
Me too. And I love the fact where before the end of the season, we were projecting next year's top six, and you're like, okay, well, maybe Podkolzin can fight Höglander to play with Horvat and Pearson. But then you kind of ended after those seven forwards. That was before Connor Garland, and that was before Jason Dickinson. It's so much better now, and that's why a lot of people are excited about this team. Yeah, maybe they might not do so well keeping pucks out of their net, not because of the goalies, but because of the D. But at least they're going to put a lot of pucks in the opposing net. At least that's the hope. Yeah. So I'm good. I'm excited. I'm definitely excited.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm looking in sort of chat here, and I think we're seeing the same. I can't think of words right now, but the same sentiment coming from chat. Most people are pretty excited to see what's going to happen, and yeah, bringing in him and Connor Garland just adds so much, right?
Yes.
And if you think of who went out the door this year, right? Beagle, Roussel, Eriksson, Virtanen, Gaudette, and Lind.
Yep.
And you're replacing that with a bunch of depth, which most of that was, and then Dickinson and Garland, and just the forward group is a ton, a lot improvement there.
Yeah. We caught the late ferry back Saturday night from Nanaimo, the latest one at 11 p.m. So I tweeted out, I watched Connor Garland highlights, and oh man, it got me even more excited. Admittedly, I still don't know a lot about him aside from what people tell me, but once I watched that 5-minute highlight pack, the guy is fearless, man. I can't wait. I can't wait.
And Jason Dickinson will be wearing number 18. So if you have a jersey that you want to get rename plated, it is that easy. Might be just a quick, easy swap for you. Go put a Dickinson name on the back.
I do have a Virtanen jersey. I do, and
I don't know if they can do that with a jersey though. That might be tough.
it might not look so good.
You might just need the duct tape. That might be your best course of action.
Okay, I'll get back to you on that one. Okay.
All right. A couple other Canucks things that did come up this week. Breezeball is re-signed, but he's an AHL body at this point, and we talked at length last week about the Canucks defensive depth that they have. Right, the Canucks don't have much, maybe high-end defensive talent potentially on their roster, but they do have a lot of depth. And that came from Jim Benning signing basically an entire team worth of guys at the start of free agency. And Breezeball gets added to that list. And, you know, he's going to be competing with Brad Hunt, Jack Rathbone, Ashton Sautner even. Like there's so many defensemen that are going to basically this AHL team's looking kind of stacked. But I don't think we'll be seeing Breezeball. I think it's kind of it for his NHL dreams at this point.
Yeah. And what's interesting, didn't within a couple of days of each other, didn't they sign both Breezeball and Sautner? But one of them was signed by the Canucks, like the big Canucks, and one of them was signed by Abbotsford.
Yeah,
Does that sound right?
Sautner got an AHL deal,
Okay.
and Breezeball got a two-way NHL deal. So it's going
Right.
to end up being the same, but technically Sautner
Breezeball's
isn't
yeah.
Vancouver Canucks property. He's Abbotsford
Gotcha.
Canucks property.
So if you had, not that anyone's doing this, but if you had to rank Breezeball versus Sautner, I guess given that Breezeball got the two-way, i.e. potentially called up to the Canucks contract, he's more valued. But you're right; they're going to end up in the same place with a stacked, hopefully a stacked Abbotsford blue line.
Yeah, I think this Abbotsford team definitely has some real potential, and we'll talk a little bit more about Abbotsford later on.
Oh, so that's why they did what they did then, because they're going to be so good. Okay.
Maybe
I'll come back to that. Yeah.
I see where you're going. Yeah, could be. All right, let's just keep moving. Let's just keep firing through this. This was sort of the other big topic just in the NHL for the week, and that is ads on jerseys. Now, here's sort of the timeline of things that happened, right? At the beginning of this season, or sort of in like December, the NHL came out and said, hey, we're going to be putting ads of like our title sponsors on helmets. And they just slapped them right on the side. The Canucks had Rogers. It was basically the title sponsors, right? Like whoever sponsored the arena typically was the sponsor on the names, or on the helmets. The Flames had Scotiabank. Pittsburgh had PPG Paints. It was basically all of the same sponsors. And the NHL said that they basically retained like $100 million in sponsorship fees from that just in this year. Because otherwise, those sponsors would be like, hey, give us our money back because no one went to our arena. And then they said, well, don't worry about this. Like it's just the helmets. We're not going to put this on jerseys. And then, literally 8 months later, it has come out that not for this season, but for next season, they're going to be putting ads on the jersey. And it's similar to the way the NBA is doing it, where the NBA, it's basically like my Adidas logo on my shirt. It's going to be basically right there, and it's just going to be slapped on. Now they say that the maximum size is 3.5 inches or 3.5 inches in width. And if I pull out
I loved your video when you stuck a sticker on yourself.
This is a Costco card.
Okay.
A credit card, your standard credit card is 3.37 inches in width. So about 3.5 inches. So, you can imagine about that big at max taking up the spot. Now, it probably won't be that big because I can see NHL teams sort of weighing the jersey sales to advertising dollars thing. But what's your initial thought on this?
Well, I did like your video. Actually, I watched your video to get all my info on it before I even pulled up any news. And so without trying to be biased by what you said, I don't care. Like I honestly don't care. I'm not a big, it's not that I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I'm not as big as say a jersey fanatic or jersey traditionalist as many people are. I get why people are upset. I really do. I understand that. In fact, there's another YouTube vlogger named Clay Shagel out of Chicago who I watch quite a bit, not just because we have the same name. And he was so upset. He did a vlog called I'm Done, and he's not going to do vlogs anymore because he is so upset. Like he's still going to do other types of content, but he was so upset about this and he made a statement like a year ago saying if the NHL ever puts ads on their jerseys that he's going to stop a certain portion. And so true to his word, to me, that's a little bit over the top, but and probably because I feel the exact opposite. It doesn't matter to me. I can see why. I understand why. I know it's done in Europe. I know European sports is way different than North American sports. I get all that. I know NBA does it, but for me, as long as kind of like what you said in your video, as long as it's tasteful, as long as it makes sense, and it's at least. It doesn't have to be perfectly on brand, Parker, but it can't be anti-brand. Like it can't be so stupid that you're wondering why the Canucks have that on there.
Color matching is very important.
Yeah.
And I noted the Lakers jersey that had the Wish logo on it. It's the same color as like every other part of the Lakers jersey. And that's big, right? If the Canucks put a bright red Rogers logo on their blue and green jersey, it's going to look bad. Right. And it comes down to a couple things, right? There's some people saying, well, it makes up for lost revenue. They were going to do this whether or not they had lost pandemic revenue or not. This is their excuse to do it. It's not like they're going to stop doing it once they've made up that lost revenue. Also, we don't get, it's not like ticket prices are going down because of it, right? Like like there's no benefit to us, right? At the end of the day, it's literally there's just going to be ads on the jerseys and probably on the jerseys we buy, which is, I don't care that much about them being on the players, right?
Yeah.
Because we see so many ads already, right? There's ads on the boards, there's ads in the name of the arena, there's ads between every 6 minutes of play. There's ads on there's superimposed ads on the glass at the ends of the ice. There's ads everywhere.
Those aren't real?
No, they don't have a big, yeah, no, those are fake. They have ads on the ice. They have ads everywhere, but I don't want to buy ads, you know?
Right.
I don't want to, you know, is
there a chance that the retail ones don't have the ads though?
There could be, but I don't know. They haven't announced that. But if I had bought like my black skate jersey and it had a little Rogers logo right here on it, like it's not as good, right? So that's where I'm bothered by it. It's less so like the players on the ice, like whatever. I'm not going to notice it. The ones in the helmets, I phase after a while. I don't buy any helmets to wear around.
Usually don't wear one to a hockey game. That's true.
No, not if I'm not playing. It's just, I don't want to spend $300 on a jersey with an advertisement on it.
That's fair.
So basically my thought.
Right. So 2 more questions for you. 2 more discussion points. Number 1, do you agree with this argument that why do the owners need it because they're already making so much money?
Well, if I was in their shoes, I would say, I mean, look, the people who own hockey teams are billionaires, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't become a billionaire without milking every penny you can. And you know, it's a business. They've been given a beautiful excuse, like a really easy excuse to implement these things in all the lost revenue they've had. And you know, over time it's going to make the money, right? So, it doesn't surprise me. But yeah.
Okay. So my second question is, and I think I know the answer. Between you and me, do we make enough money where we could offer to sponsor by putting a Canucks After Dark patch on their jerseys?
Yeah. So here's the thing. I don't think so. I think it's going to be in the 7-digit range.
Not including the decimal points. Okay. Dang it. Okay.
Yeah. No. So if we start getting millions of listens to every episode, then we can probably pull it off. Okay. So folks, tell your friends about Canucks After Dark, because that would be great.
Yeah, Parker and I need about 100,000 more subscribers on both of our channels, not combined, unfortunately, each. Yeah, okay. Thank you, everyone.
And we need to upload daily, 3 times a day, and all of you would have to watch. Yeah, it would take a lot.
Okay. Challenge accepted.
Maybe one day.
Okay.
Where'd you want to go to next? Did you want to talk about Henrik Sedin?
Sure. Yeah, thank you. You guys, I'm laughing because I never see these banners. It's not that we're not prepared. It's just like I know what we're going to talk about, but I don't know what Parker's going to type. I love that. Yeah, I almost said it, on a podcast not to be named, but let's just say it has the first 3 letters of our city in it. Yeah, okay, fine. On the Vancast, Thomas Drance interviewed Henrik Sedin. Henrik made a joke that it was his first podcast appearance ever, but you know, maybe we'll be a second podcast appearance ever. But in all seriousness, it was that and the $1 million for the Canucks After Dark logo. It was a really good interview, actually. Henrik seemed very at peace, calm, excited, talked about how crazy it's been for the past 3 months since him and Daniel joined the team as special advisors. Everything from watching draft video until the Canucks traded away their draft pick to being in the pro scouting meetings to lending input onto Oliver Ekman-Larsson before they made that big trade. But here's the one takeaway that I want to talk about, Parker, is Henrik Sedin, when asked about what's the plan for this year. Actually, one other thing, he said that Daniel's really getting into analytics, which is kind of cool. Henrik didn't say that he was or wasn't, but I presume not. when asked about this season, Parker, when Drance asked him about the season, he said, look, our core players, our best players need to continue to get better. And he said, you can bring in the Oliver Ekman-Larssons, the Garlands and the Dickinsons in, but at the end of the day, it's got to be your best players, your core players that are still leading. And a couple of people, not a lot, but a couple of people took that as a not a shot, but a response to Petey's comments last week about wanting to play for a winning team and da-da-da. But to me, this is what Henrik's always said, right? You've talked about them. You have to be able to outplay your contract. And the players that are going to be able to do that in an impactful way are your best players, or as we call them, the core players. So that's the biggest takeaway for me. And I think when Henrik and Daniel were doing that for their 15-year careers, I think Petey, Hughes, Besser, Horvat, and Demko, they all got to look at that and say, wow, what a great example for us.
Yeah. I didn't listen, so I don't have a ton to contribute.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think again, it's just the team is, I'm not going to say they're in good hands, but at this level, at the advisory level, they're in good hands.
Yeah.
Again, because these are two guys, Henrik and Daniel Sedin are two guys who they're just gonna work harder than everyone else, like they did their entire careers. And I think that's basically what they're hoping to see from guys like Pettersson, right? They look at Pettersson and think, all right, he has what it takes. And if he can reach his potential and work as hard as we did, if anyone worked as hard as they did, though, like if I worked as hard as they did, I'd be in the NHL because their work ethic was insane. But yeah, definitely good things said by Henrik Sedin.
Yeah. One last thing, Parker, I forgot to mention is when they talked about guys from the 2011 team getting into coaching or management, Malhotra, Burrows, Luongo, Bieksa on TV, right? There's a lot of those players that are doing they're in hockey, but management type stuff. Henrik talked about how many leaders there were on that 2011 team, just how stacked they were from a leadership perspective. So obviously another key tenet of a winning team. And so hopefully we are moving towards something like that here 10 years later.
I hope so.
We will see. Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Next up, a recurring segment.
Oh, good.
Don't do that. Basically, this is a segment where we ask you guys to tell us things that shouldn't be done. So if you have any don't do that's for the week, leave them in the chat. We're going to jump to another topic and then we'll come back. So this is a chance for you to throw those in the chat and we will read them out shortly. Let's quickly touch on, you want to touch on Abbotsford?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, you go first.
Yeah, this banner isn't all we're going to talk about. But basically, the reason we thought about it is the Abbotsford Canucks basically announced their season ticket prices for this year. So if you are interested in becoming an Abbotsford Canucks season ticket member, it is going to cost you a decent amount of money. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but it was a really interesting approach where there's like if you're just doing the 1 year, there's a certain price, or you can do like a 3, 4, or 5 year term. Like a cell phone contract, kind of. So those are options as well. But what I more so wanted to talk about and bring this into is just what this team is going to mean for the Canucks organization as a whole, whether or not we are going to be going to a couple of games potentially. And does this team have a real shot at competing?
I don't know what Melissa's comment is, but you can get to that in a few minutes. That's awesome, but
we'll get to it.
Okay. But to answer your questions, to stay on topic and stay focused. Yeah, we joked around about 10 minutes ago about how the Canucks are going out and signing all these players, icing a competitive team, building excitement in this market as they should. And maybe that's why their tickets are quite high. And in fact, I got a text from so Mike is my season ticket partner. We split our seats, right? And then Jens is the guy who sat next to me. And Jens is the guy who actually did not renew his Vancouver Canucks tickets because he wanted to go Abbotsford. He actually texted me and said, Clay, I'm surprised at how high the tickets are. So He actually bought corner instead of, where he wanted to buy. He still bought seasons. Good for him. And I think maybe it's just a sign of the times. Should we have expected them to go lower just to build interest? I think they know they're going to have interest anyways. They're going to have a good team. Yeah,
it's going to be a hot ticket, and it looks like it's actually going to be a really good team. Yeah, and I think I saw a comparison to like similar AHL markets in Canada.
Oh.
So like the Laval Rocket, what are the other ones? The Toronto Marlies and the Manitoba Moose were the main ones I saw, and they were all about 25% cheaper than the Canucks ones. So interesting that they're going with this high price point. But it is the first year, right? I think there's enough hype and interest in this team, in this market. I'm sure they did a lot of, focus groups, or at least one, maybe, if they had the
Focus group.
Yeah, a focus group. They just at the, I don't know.
Actually, it was only two people, so it wasn't a group. It was a duo, a focus duo.
They interviewed some people outside of the White Spot on 264th and said, "Would you go to games?" And they said yes. And they're like, "All right, raise the prices." So yeah,
Bottom line, how many games are you going to? Do you think? Like, I'm not going to hold you to
so
this.
there's what, 36 games, 36 home games. I'm going to put my over under at 4.5.
Okay.
I would say I'll probably go to a handful. Just little day trip, especially if they do. I know that they tend to do the occasional afternoon game on a weekend. I think something like that would be accessible, right? Go out in the for the morning.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I looked very quickly, Parker, at the schedule before we started recording. A lot of their game, they kind of do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or like Friday, Sunday. Like it's a lot of weekends, right? I might get to, hopefully, I'm going to say 2 or 3. I know Jens is going to treat me to at least 1 or 2 of them, but then I got to treat him to a Vancouver game, which I don't know if that's okay. That's for me to figure out. Yeah, I'll hit 2 or 3 as well. I kind of want to, do I care about who the opponent is? Maybe if I see someone good, but I probably won't even know by the time I walk in anyway. So yeah. We should go to one together.
Sure, let's do it. Abbotsford Canucks After Dark.
actually meet each other in person.
From the Abbotsford Center.
We should go golfing. You could whoop my butt, and then we can go watch a game.
Yeah, and we're going to film it. We're going to film the golf. We're going to get that done. We're going to Canucks After Dark, the match, coming to a screen near you eventually.
I think you can shave 4 hours into 4 seconds by just showing you hitting and then me hitting. That's all people need to see.
I think I don't think I'm as good as you think I am.
Your Twitter picture is a guy you golfing.
Yes,
isn't it?
Yeah, that was like a year ago when I wasn't very good. All right, let's jump into some don't do that's. We do have a good handful of them. Clay, anything that have caught your eye?
Well, I'm not sure what Steel Dog is saying where he says update your background. So is he talking, you don't like this wall? I can't change well, I guess I could technically. They just kind of come off the wall, but there's no way. Oh, wrong one. There's no way I'm changing this one.
Yeah. But you'll consider the one of your family. That's the one you're willing to get rid of?
Well, of course, before the one of me, absolutely.
Fair enough.
Okay, thank you. That's it. No. Do you want to go to raspberry jam before we get into the other ones, or
I got a little bit of jam on my shorts. All right, I had an English muffin with peanut butter and raspberry jam on it, and the next day my shorts were in the laundry and there was some jam on them, and I get called out now apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
But I don't know, just it's flavor,
Like how would one of our YouTube viewers even know that?
I don't know. I feel stalked.
Wait, let's do some real ones.
All right. Nick, NHL approves jersey ads. Fans, don't do that. I think this is pretty fair. Don't put ads. Don't give us more ads. We see so many ads. I'm saying this as someone who runs ads on my YouTube videos. But hey, don't give me ads. All right. If you really don't want to see ads, you can get around them. But these ones we can't.
Yeah. So by the way, actually, it was funny in your video. You mentioned ad blockers and stuff. Do you have appreciation? No, I'll go the other way. Do you get upset when you find out that people have ad blockers? Not upset. That's the wrong word. No, they can do what they want, right?
I use an ad blocker.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Anyways, moving on. What else do we got here?
Do Coach Rob's right after Melissa and Nick about the Virtanen banner. That's a good one. Don't leave the banner of Virtanen up on the outside of Rogers Arena. Yeah. Don't do that. Yeah,
that was kind of odd.
It's still there, isn't it?
I saw some people like, well, they do them in September. It's like, yeah, but you could do it before that. Like you can take it down and just leave the blank wall up. That's fine. Yeah. And just an odd decision.
And I know this is a very polarizing topic. We don't have to get into it today, But I'm not even talking about the investigation. He does not play for our team anymore.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he's not.
Like it's that simple, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're not saying you have to throw a Jason Dickinson banner up yet, but I mean, you can just
You
get
imagine
rid of
just
the ones.
Photoshop his face right on there.
That would be good. Yeah, same jersey number.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Absolutely. Let's see here.
It's not a don't do that, but Jeff's awesome. The very second to last comment. I watch the ads most times. Not all heroes wear capes. Well, a very quick peek behind the curtain. Both Parker and I are blessed to have monetized channels. You have to meet certain criteria, and that's why you see ads sometimes before our videos, after, and even in the middle, depending on how long the videos are. And yeah, every little bit helps. So we're not seeing make you say you have to watch all 30 seconds. You can go skip ads. I don't even know, Parker, you know how these analytics work, but if you do have a chance to watch them for a couple seconds, we appreciate you very much.
And if the skip ad button comes up, just press it, guys. I mean, at the end of the day, like, your one view, it's like a penny at most. Yeah. So like, don't be like, I'm taking money from them. Like, skip the ads if you want to. Like, I'm not gonna be sad.
No. But I still like that comment from Jeff. That was awesome.
What a hero. Let's see. I'm pretty slow on these comments right now.
Yeah, actually, if you could put up a Shannon's getting a van, I just want to share a really quick story. Shannon, it's right under. Yes. So getting a van and getting rid of a Kia Soul, don't do that. So I don't know if this is a reference to Coach Rob's beautiful Kia Soul. I was blessed to meet Coach Rob and Shannon on the weekend when I was in Victoria. Rob drove Shannon to the meeting spot an hour in his Kia Soul. And I think either she's bugging him or he's thinking about getting a van, which is cool. I'm all for vans. I'm a Honda Odyssey guy. Well, look at me. I'm a typical dad, right? Like a family minivan.
The minivan, of course.
You probably have a real cool car. What car do you have, Parker?
I have a Miata, newer Miata.
Yeah.
But I mean, Kia Souls are great. My mom had a Kia Soul. I think that was literally the first car I ever drove was a Kia Soul.
There you go.
They're fine. They're fun.
My son Jacob has one. It's great. You can barely even see it. It's so small. Like, I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Marcus says, sign Petey and Hughes. Don't do that. Psych. Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't heard psych in like 30 years.
What year is it? No, that's good. Yeah. Honestly, we are going to chat a little bit about Petey and Hughes. I think we've chatted about them every week for the last 7 weeks. But yeah, they'll get done. We saw Rick Dollywall reporting live from Belmont Golf Course today. On Twitter, saying that basically him just saying it's going to get done. Chill out. It might be by the end of August. It might not. If it's not, don't panic. That's basically what we've been saying. Like, it doesn't have to happen before training camp even. Yeah. Like, if it happens in the middle of training camp, it's fine. If it happens on October 11th, it's fine. They're going to be working out on their own. So worst case, I mean, they're both going to be playing for the team this year.
Yeah, what's tricky, but precedent setting is Horvat wasn't signed until September 8th. Besser wasn't signed until September 16th. So those are their two most important guys prior to these guys, and they weren't signed until the second week of September. So unfortunately, I think you're right, Parker. We got to brace ourselves for that reality. I think you want to get them in by camp, though, from a chemistry just up to speed. Petey coming off an injury. Yes,
that's ideal. I don't think you base your negotiations around it, though. Fair. Because it's a lot more important than a week of training camp.
Absolutely.
Cap flexibility.
What's with this fangirl one? YouTube support not helping you.
Oh yeah. I did a VIP live stream. So, for those of you who don't know, you can be members of a YouTube channel. Basically you pay a set amount a month. Mine's $3 a month. Just, basically a way to extra support if you want to. It's 100% optional. And did a live stream just for my VIPs, and it wouldn't send out notifications, and YouTube support was not helpful. But he tried. Bo at YouTube support, not Bo Horvat, but you gave it a shot, and I only gave you like 5 minutes because I had to go live. So yeah, gave it a good shot.
Right. Okay. That's good. Well, that was good. We ran for about 7 or 8 minutes on Don't Do That. And we'll continue, especially as the season gets going and the Canucks do some cool or silly things. I'm sure we'll have a lot more, but that was a nice return to one of the most popular segments in Canucks podcasting circles.
History. Absolutely. All right. These two kind of tie together. But let's talk a little bit about us. Let's talk a little bit about our show and sort of our ideas for the season. And it sort of stemmed off of this happening. The Canucks and the rest of the NHL released the actual schedule. So we got all the dates a few weeks back, like all the dates that the games will be on. But now we actually have start times. So what I was able to do is I was able to sort of go through and figure out, because at Canucks After Dark, we have this whole Monday versus Wednesday war going on.
Well, just we do. No one else does, but we do, yes.
Yeah. We started out by doing this on Mondays, and then we switched to Wednesdays last month just because the dates worked better with the way the NHL schedule was going. And looking at it, because we both obviously have plans for our channels personally during the regular season, right? We make videos usually after most games, the occasional streams. And so it makes most sense for us because there's only, I think, 3 games on Mondays or there's only 2 games on Mondays that are late games, like 7 p.m.
Good.
So basically our thought was, well, we don't want to use Canucks After Dark as like a post-game recap show because we want to look at the whole week at a time. So our thoughts are starting in mid-September, it's going to be the beginning of season 2 of Canucks After Dark. For the 2021-2022 season, we're going to be jumping from Wednesdays back to Mondays on September 13th. So you're going to have our regular show on next Wednesday, the 25th, and the Wednesday after that, the 1st, and the Wednesday after that, the 8th. And then September 13th, we will jump back to Mondays, and we'll go Mondays through the whole season. And we think this works out really well. It's going to be right around the start of training camp. And Mondays just seem to work best for us.
Yeah, and I just put up the schedule. There's 3 Monday games, 8 Tuesday, so that's the worst day. 5 Wednesday, 5 Thursday, 6 Friday, 6 Saturday, and 8 Sunday. So Monday is the least populated night of the 7 nights, and some of those weekend games are afternoons. But the point being, yeah, we run the least amount of risk of running against any post-game content or whatever we want to do. Also, Parker, you and I were talking, Monday seems like a nice way to start a week. You can wrap up the week that was, look ahead to the week that is coming, and just get the week off to a great start. Yeah,
and especially with, like you said, the Canucks play 8 times on Sundays this season and barely any times on Mondays. So that really allows us to be like, all right, Sunday is the end of our week for hockey. And then, we can start the new week on Monday. We can look ahead at all the games coming up, standings, everything like that. And it'll be sort of a clean spot to do it. And yes, Steel Dog asks 10 o'clock. Yes, 10 o'clock.
Thank you, Parker.
Will be 10 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. So those of you on the East Coast, I recommend downloading the podcast the next day. And those of you in Europe, you got a nice thing to wake up to the next morning. And those of you in Australia, as Australia is somehow 9% of our podcast listenership.
Love them.
Which is crazy. But yeah, so these are sort of our plans for the season.
Speaking of which, can you put up our Grant Laidley's comment, please? Keep on producing content that flies in the face of qualified reporters. Do that. Grant, thank you very much for the compliment. I know we've seen you on the channel before, and we appreciate that. We are not purporting to be report. I love saying purport and report in the same sentence. We're not purporting to be reporters. Parker, we're not analysts. We are not. We are simply 2 Canucks fans who love to chat, not only with each other, but more importantly with you, share what we know, what we think we know, and make it fun. And don't pretend, we don't pretend that we're better than we are. We know more than we are. No, we're 2 guys who love watching these games and love talking about our team.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we're two just big hockey fans, and we're 2 hockey fans who like making content about what we enjoy, which is the Vancouver Canucks, and we have a fun show about it. And yeah, we're not gonna be breaking any news. We're just gonna give our takes on news. So yeah,
The
Thank
day
you.
Parker or I break some news ahead of like a dolly war or something,
That'd be cool.
It would be cool, but I think something would be wrong. Quite frankly,
No, that'd be cool. I'm gonna try.
you're gonna do it.
Yeah,
Even if
if
it's not
there's-
true.
Yeah, if there's
We-
anyone,
a lot of stuff.
can't imagine we just start breaking random stuff.
PD signs.
Yeah. Oh, guys, breaking news. Canucks After Dark has it first.
Oh man.
That would be great. But yeah,
We have
that's
Alex
our-
Edler's agent on the line. Well, I'm happy to be on Canucks After Dark. Okay, sorry. That was a throwback to a joke from about 6 weeks ago. But
That's a deep cut. All right. Other than
Costco.
that, Costco. Yeah. We don't need to talk about the Costco article.
But Edmund put it in the
Oh,
comments.
did Edmund? Edmund gave us a.
Yeah, 10 up.
Got it.
Go with this
Yeah, someone on the hockey subreddit did an analysis of the closest Costco's to each NHL arena, and the Canucks won, obviously, because it's literally next door. And I learned that there's no Costco in Buffalo, so Buffalo
saw
keeps
that.
getting worse and worse.
Maybe that's why Jack Eichel wants to leave.
Yeah, and the Buffalo Bills, maybe, apparently.
Yeah, it was funny. I saw this on Twitter, and someone asked, "What the Canucks play at Costco?" Like, it seems like
Basically, yeah. Anything else we wanted to? That's all the banners I had. We got 15 minutes left. So, guys, with 15 minutes to go in the show, this is your chance to let us know what you want to talk about. Throw in a topic, throw in a question. It can be Canucks related. It can be hockey related, although we are in the dead middle of the off season. So if you have other random questions for us, like is a hot dog a sandwich, which I'm not getting into because it's too polarizing. But things of that nature, you can ask us those as well. I like this comment from Marcus. I'll let you read it.
Clay's hair looks awful. Psych, it's epic. Well, two things, Marcus. If you're talking about the hair that I actually do have, thank you. And secondly, actually three things. Secondly, you can't be the founder of the GLCPC if you don't have at least decent hair, right, Parker? You know that very well.
Absolutely, yes.
And thirdly, I'm only 3 years away from my 50th birthday. Yes, I know I look young and I act even younger. So for my 40th, I am going. I pulled out the flat top. Oh, actually, I think you can see it right there.
Oh yes, yeah.
Look
You
at
get a
that.
behind the scenes look here, folks.
Yeah, so that was me back. This isn't good for the audio listeners, but yeah, that was me 7 years ago. I'm gonna grow that out again, Parker, for my 50th for sure in 3 years.
Hashtag hair, hashtag style, hashtag. What else can I do here? Hashtag Canucks.
Awesome. What's that for?
And that's just on Twitter.
Oh gosh. Oh no. Okay.
Anyways, do you want to pick any questions out of here?
Can you go 7-Up to Edmund really quickly? Talk support full vaccination for fans. Yeah, we're starting to hear this a lot, right? All the Toronto sports teams, Vegas, Allegiant Stadium for their NFL team. I think it's a matter of time, and like it or not, it's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
To answer the question, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it as well. Not that our opinions really matter because, I mean, the general public is okay with it. And, general public, if 75-80% of the people are for it, and the team's going to do what they say. So, yeah, works for me.
Parker, I just saw your tweet. I'm impressed with your ability to multitask. That was impressive.
It's for those of you, it was meant for the audio listeners.
Okay.
So audio listeners, you can go to my Twitter and see that beautiful, luscious hair from 7 years ago.
Love it. All right, let's go. Fangirl, when is the latest that Hughes and Petey will get signed? So it's not like when is the latest they can be signed. They have to sign basically by the end of the calendar year, or else they can't play this year. When will they get signed? I think Parker nailed it. I expect mid-September, like at the latest.
I think latest is before the first preseason game.
Okay.
Which is like late September. However, I mean, latest, like December 31st or whatever the actual deadline is. Because they're not going to not play. But yeah.
I hear ya.
Do you want to go to hashtag mullet? I missed that one. Darn.
There's Roberto Luongo. Do you think Hughes wants to play for an American team?
Oh, I thought you were going to say this one from Roberto Luongo.
I like that one too.
13.
everyone type in the chat. He if you don't know Parker's actual age, because he's divulged it like once before, put in the chat how old you think Parker is. Honestly, I love to see this. I already said that I'm 47, but I'd love to know how old you guys think Parker is.
All right, let's go to his actual question while we wait for those.
Oh, yes. Forgot about that.
Do you think Hughes wants to play for an American team? And I mean, we can also sort of extrapolate this to the Devils.
Yes. What do you say?
I don't think he's outspoken enough to care.
I agree with you. Yeah, he doesn't seem like, that I'm sure it'd be a nice to have, but I don't think it's a need to have. I hope that he wants to excel for whatever team he's with. And right now that's us. And it could be for as low as 2 or 3 years or as high as 7 or 8 years that we'll find out in the next month or so. So no, I haven't heard any inkling either. I agree with you, Parker, on that. I like these ages. The
only 2 people got it right. Yeah, I said 36. We had 24, 23, 24, 23, 23, 23, 27, 20, 24, 7. 24 is the correct answer. Yeah.
Gotcha. So last year was the only time that I was double his age for you math wizards out there.
34. All right. JDS says, "Hey guys, how's it going with you? We're great. Thanks for joining."
Yeah, that is Jamie. Jamie Shea, Jamie Sports Talk and More. That's awesome, Jamie. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Question from Steel Dog: how much will you be covering the Abbotsford Canucks? They may be very good and local talent. I haven't thought about this because I've started to think of my plans. I barely have my plans together for the regular Canucks this season, because I mean, I basically I have like 100. I'm going to post like 140 times during the Canucks season, right? Like it's probably going to be around there, right? So how much time do I have to devote to the Abbotsford Canucks? I might touch on them a little bit during this show. Maybe we'll do like a 5-minute update on the team. Be like, hey, this is what they did last week. Especially since we are doing it on a Monday. And if they do play usually like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or around there, we can just be like, hey, the Abbotsford Canucks went 2-1. DiPietro got a shutout, XYZ, and do something like that. So I think that might be sort of the extent of it, except for when maybe we go to a game or two and talk about it after that.
I like that idea, and thank you for the interest, Steel Dog. And I think he's not the only one, right, that will be interested in how our team is doing. So I love your idea, Parker. Maybe we indeed do a 5-minute segment and just Abby update or whatever it is. We can call it Downtown Ab. Okay, I'll be quiet. No, Downtown Abbey.
Hold on. No, you might be onto something here. We'll work with that. We're gonna workshop it. Writing it down. Downton Abbey Canucks reference.
All right.
Pick the next one.
Let's go, Noah. Noah L. Who do you think? Who do you think makes the team, Rathbone or Ulevi? And do you think Ulevi would get taken if he's placed on waivers? And do you think Shen and Hunt both make the team since they are veterans? I know, Parker, you talked about this at last week's stream about to give everyone the very close notes. It's interesting because they all, Ulevi, Rathbone, and Hunt all make different amounts of money. But Rathbone does not need to clear waivers. And that's the biggest factor, right? One of them. Yeah,
I think we're going to see either Rathbone's on the roster or Ulevi's in the press box. Is sort of my bet, and one of them will be in the AHL. So I think it's most likely that they don't want to waive Ulevi. So we see Ulevi as the 7th or 8th defenseman if they do carry 13 and 8. Otherwise, if Rathbone really excels, I could see them calling them up and then having to waive Ulevi, ideally on that day where everyone in the NHL gets waived. So when you say, do I think Ulevi would get taken if he's placed on waivers? Probably, unless it's on that one day, which is like the roster deadline, where no team has roster space and there's like 150 players on waivers in the same day. So that's my answer to the first half of the question.
Yeah, I like Noah's second question. Do you think Shen and Hunt both make the team? I do. I think those are two guys that if you try and get them through waivers, may get taken. Didn't Shen sign a 2-year contract too? It's not only 1 year. I think it's 2.
It is 2.
Okay.
I don't know. You think both of them make the team?
I could see them being a 7-8, right? 7 and 8, and then one of Juolevi Rathbone being 6, and then the other one being sent down. Yeah, I could. Yep. We'll see. I don't know.
Cool.
Could be. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to like think of the defensemen. So that would mean like Pullman, Hamonic.
Yep.
All of them. Okay. I guess there's room. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Pullman, Hamonic, and then Myers
OEL
on the right, and then OEL Hughes, and then one of Rathbone Juolevi, and then you have 7-8 as Hunt and Shen.
Gotcha.
That's what I think they're going to do. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
We will see.
Favorite TV show.
Oh,
What's your favorite TV show?
right now that's still on TV is The Blacklist, and
I haven't watched that in so long.
Oh, I love it, and I'm a Criminal Minds guy and a Survivor guy as well.
Oh, Survivor's great. I watch it once every few years, and I love it.
We should do Survivor with all of our like subscribers. It would be funny.
That would be great. Yeah, we all just survive. I'm just gonna,
Oh, don't say it! Don't say it!
let's move on.
What's your favorite TV show?
I don't know. This is always such a tough question for me because I don't have any good at right now. Currently, that's on. I think is Ted Lasso.
Okay,
great show.
Yeah.
I don't even think I have a favorite all time that I can think of, but that's my go-to right now.
Awesome.
I'm just reading and like laughing at jokes that other people say.
No, people are pretty funny today, actually.
Yeah, you guys are in peak off-season form.
Yes, off-season form. Let's go. Time for hockey. Who on the Canucks will surprise people this season? I have two. I think that Jack Rathbone, I know if he makes the team, like as we just talked about, I think he's going to be really good this season. I really do. Whether he starts the season with the team or ends up coming up because he is the easiest one to send down to Abbotsford, I do think he'll surprise people. And then I'd say up front, maybe one of the two new guys because we don't know much about Garland. I think people are going to love Garland right away, but I think Dickinson might be really sneaky good for us as we talked about right off the top.
Yeah, I think my problem here is I don't see many positive surprises, right?
Yeah.
I think unless like Oliver Ekman-Larsson's like the only option for something like that, right? But I think everyone in Canucks world is pretty high on every player usually, right? Like Pettersson can score 40 goals or 35 goals, 40 goals this year, and he's not really going to surprise anyone because we're hoping for that.
Right.
So I'm going to flip this question on you. Who will surprise you negatively next season?
You know, that's a really fascinating look into seriously into the way you took that question, because you're right. Time for Hockey doesn't say anything about who will surprise you positively, but you went the other way, which is good. So who's going to negatively surprise me? I hope Parker is not Tucker Pullman. I really want him to succeed, but he's already up against this massive mountain of doubt, right? Because of his contract. It's not his fault. The other one,
get the bag, man. Do what you got to do.
Any of these new guys, like I want Halak to do well. We know what we're getting in Sutter. You know, the other thing I hope doesn't happen, but if Podkolzin gets off to a slow start,
that was my thought.
And if Cole Caulfield takes off, and you know Trevor Zegras takes off, there are going to be people talking, right?
Yeah, I think the most likely to underachieve is Podkolzin, just because I think we've all built so much hype up around him. Pullman's also a decent option. My first instinct was Halak, because I mean Halak's been good for a long time. It's got to stop at some point, right? Like he's 36.
Right.
I think Halak will be good. I'm not saying I hope he'll be bad. I'm not saying I think he'll be bad. I'm saying the most likely to underachieve might be Halak. That's my take.
That's fair. I think we got time for one more. How about C edits? I like that one. Which teams? Yeah. You know, I haven't studied. Oh, sorry, bud. Which teams do you see as being the most improved after this offseason? Admittedly, I haven't studied a lot. I'm so excited about what the Canucks have done. I think Winnipeg has quietly improved their team. I just think of their D at least. I think they've improved their team a little bit. Although I'm not sure what they did up front now that I think about it. But right, they bought Schmidt. Didn't they get DeMello? I think so. Anyone else?
I
should look this up.
I have not paid enough attention.
Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't have picked this question.
No, it's
sorry,
fine.
Seattle.
It's fine. Seattle. Seattle's going to go from 0 points last year to something in the 70s, 80s, or 90s. And that's going to be a big improvement for them.
And LA intrigues me.
LA is going to be, I think LA is probably the answer.
Yeah, not just Edler, but they got Philip Deneau, right? Who else did they get? I don't know. I stopped after I named like two guys.
I feel like they got better. It's one of those things where it's like I remember 3 weeks ago thinking that LA was going to be better after free agency, and then I don't remember what happened 3 weeks ago.
Okay, we'll research better next time. Sorry about that.
Yeah, remember, we're not insiders.
Obviously. All right, last one. Let's end with a good one. Favorite player on the Canucks. Nice, easy one. Softball for you, Parker.
I'm kidding. Just pretending to be. My favorite player right now is probably Elias Pettersson. However, that could become Niels Höglander really fast.
Nice. I like that. I'm going to go Bo Horvat, as I've mentioned many times, and I'll give a second to Brock Besser.
I don't think you can go wrong there. It is 11, which means we should wrap up. Although
that was fast.
I really like this question though. From Noah, looking way into the future, who makes the All-Star teams on the Canucks out of our top guys? Now, there is going to be an All-Star break, even if they go to the Olympics, which is crazy to me. Yep. They're doing both. So Noah suggests Pettersson, Miller, Hughes, Besser, Demko, Garland, Horvat, maybe OEL as just sort of like the guys who are sort of on the table, right? And I think this is fair. There's no one missing here.
Yeah.
Do you know what the format is? Are they doing 3-on-3 again? And like divisions?
Yeah, if it's the old format, do they take 3 goalies or 2?
3 aside.
Okay, my answer is Demko.
Each one is a period.
I don't see 3 better goalies in the Pacific Division than Demko. So I'm saying Demko.
Yeah, I think Demko's most likely.
Yeah.
Actually, I think Pettersson's most likely.
Okay.
I could see it being... Because it's so easy for me to be like, oh yeah, Pettersson's all-star caliber, Besser's all-star caliber, right? But all these other teams have all-stars too. Mm-hmm. I think Pettersson, Besser, and Demko are still your best bets. Yeah. If Besser lights it up like he is in the Beauty League right now, where the Beauty League, if he can score, if Besser's on like a 35-40 goal pace, then he's probably the favorite. But yeah, I think you're looking at between, Pettersson, Besser, Demko as your most likely. Unless the Canucks are at like the top of the division at the time All-Star break comes around, and then they'll pull a lot of guys.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. So you have to pick one of those 3, who are you picking? Like, let's say they only have one.
Brock Besser.
Okay. You got Besser. I got Demko. I like it.
Because I think he's most likely to score a lot of goals and just get a lot of votes.
They should just take Pullman and stick him right in front of the net and see what happens.
Yep. Yeah, throw them out there. All right. That is it for us for this week. And like we mentioned, we'll be back next Wednesday. If you guys want to follow more from us, of course, we noticed there's a couple of fresh faces here for the first time. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel. You can subscribe to both of us on YouTube, ParkersPucks, Canuck Clay. Just search for those. They're linked in the description of both the podcast and the video. You can follow both of us on Twitter. Also the same as our YouTubes. I'm at ParkersPucks. He's at Canuck Clay. And we'll be, we do this every week, and we'll keep doing it every week. Season 2 starting in a month, which will be a lot of fun. Clay, any parting words?
Yeah. I'm just anticipating what next week's show is going to look like. If there's no contract movement with our 2 all-stars, we may have to be, searching Reddit pretty hard.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully we get some news this week. The last 2 weeks we've had one big news thing, right?
Right.
This week was Jason Dickinson. Last week was that Pettersson article that kind of saved us.
Yeah.
So we just need one thing. Otherwise, next week might just be a bunch of questions, which is fine as well.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll make it work.
We will make it work. Anyways, everyone, thank you for spending your Wednesday night with us. And we will see you next week.